So one of the biggest things that people aren't really talking about is how wild some of these tech layoffs are pretty much happening. You've got like big companies like Meta, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, and some of the smaller ones and even small startups laying off workers because guess what? The tech industry is one of the few industries out there that pays its employees pretty well. If you have a pretty decent tech job, chances are you have a chance to get a nice car. You have a chance to buy a house. But if you don't have a tech job, chances are you're probably working minimum wage and you're not going to buy a house. You're not going to buy a nice car. There's also the finance industry. There's several other industries out there. But at the end of the day, the tech industry is one of the biggest employers in the United States. And the salaries are actually really decent. So if you look at the layoffs, you got over 400,000 layoffs in 2024 alone, over 600,000 since 2022. And of course, Meta kicks off the new year in January with 7,000 layoffs. For reference, the dot-com bubble burst had about 250,000 tech layoffs. And we're doing like 250,000 layoffs once every 2 to 3 months. This is getting out of control. This is getting kind of scary. Especially a lot of Americans are no longer getting jobs as many companies are opting in to hire cheaper tech workers from overseas. And you could get them over to their company, they pay them less, and they're still very happy about it. For example, in China, there's a lot of very talented software engineers and also computer science grads. Many of them can't find a job in China. So they get invited over to the US and Canada and they get a job and the salary is much better. And sometimes they're willing to put up with lower pay. And it's the same thing happening with artificial intelligence. It's also laying off people. You also got a lot of developers and many tech workers from India. A lot of them are pretty talented as well. They're being hired over. And many Americans are losing their jobs. Meta right now is announcing some massive cuts for preparation for one of the most intensive years. If you guys haven't seen what's going on, DeepSeek is now out. The Chinese AI bot that is basically dethroning ChatGPT and OpenAI for a fraction of the cost. You probably have seen billions of dollars being invested in artificial intelligence. Meta investing billions, Microsoft stuffing like $20 billion down ChatGPT's throat, and then DeepSeek, this AI company in China, just like a group of people, and it cost them $6 million. Look at the headlines. Breaking as Nvidia literally drops 15 to 20%. Things are getting bad, guys, as the NASDAQ is free falling and the US stock prices in many of these tech companies are just simply going down. And you clearly see why Meta is preparing for an intensive year. This is pretty intense, as right now China is coming out with some of the best AI products for cheap, which is causing many big tech companies, from Meta to Google to Nvidia, to be very, very nervous. Meta has already invested billions of dollars into artificial intelligence just to have that kind of valuation be dethroned by China's DeepSeek. I know there's a lot of skeptics out there about how good DeepSeek is. I tried it for myself, and a lot of people tried it, and there's a lot of benchmarks. And so far, I say it's probably the top 3 best AI bots in the world. I'm just going to be for real with you. It's actually pretty decent for literally like a fraction of the price. This is what we're seeing here. And Meta in the past few years have been conducting layoffs. But let me tell you guys one thing for sure. I think this year may be one of the biggest layoffs ever, as more and more employers are going for foreign workers, artificial intelligence replacing employees, and of course, the American AI companies and AI investments are going to get some pretty big punches and get hurt pretty bad. As Trump unveils like a multi-billion-dollar Stargate AI initiative, it's going to be really weird because you have China coming out with cheap AI that's actually really good, and you got some really high valuations in America. This is going to cause a massive fallout. And you kind of see why Zuckerberg is really scared about 2025. High interest rates, AI competition from China, and also just a bunch of competition in general. Are you guys ready for more tech layoffs? Because it's definitely coming.